There is a place in Europe where, for more than 1,000 years, half of humanity has been forbidden to set foot. No woman has legally entered in over 9 centuries, not as a tourist, not as a visitor, not even by accident. The ban is written into law and broken at the risk of prison. Men can go, but only about 100 a day, only with a special permit and only by boat. There are no roads in from the outside world. No hotels, no cars to rent, no women, and no real connection to the century we live in. Behind a sealed border on a remote Greek peninsula sits a self-governing monastic state that has guarded the same way of life since the age of the Byzantine emperors. This is Mount Athos, the Holy Mountain, and it may be the most successfully sealed-off place in all of Europe. So where is this forbidden corner of Europe? Look at northern Greece, at a region called Halkidiki, where 3 long fingers of land reach south into the Aegean Sea. The easternmost finger is the peninsula of Athos. It is about 50 kilometers long, narrow, mountainous, and it ends in a single great peak that rises more than 2,000 meters straight out of the water. Across the neck of that peninsula runs a border you cannot simply walk across. Everything beyond it belongs to the monks. To reach it, almost everyone arrives the same way the pilgrims always have, by boat, sailing along the coast past monastery after monastery built right at the water's edge. From the sea, it looks like a place that time forgot. And in almost every way, it is exactly that. Mount Athos is not just a single monastery. It is an entire monastic republic, a self-governing state within Greece, run by and for monks. Scattered across the peninsula stand 20 great monasteries, along with smaller houses, hermitages, and lonely cells clinging to the cliffs. Around 2,000 monks live here today, following rules of prayer, work, and silence that have barely changed in centuries. They govern themselves, hold their own council, and answer spiritually to the Patriarch in Constantinople, not to the government in Athens. Greece controls the borders and the permits, but inside this is the monks' world. It is the oldest surviving monastic community of its kind on Earth, a 1,000-year-old society built around a single purpose and sealed off to protect it. And that purpose comes with the rule the world finds hardest to believe. It is called the avaton, and it forbids women from entering Mount Athos at all. Not just the monasteries, but the entire peninsula. The ban has stood for more than 1,000 years, tracing back to the age of the Byzantine emperors. And it is still enforced today under Greek law. A woman who sets foot here can face arrest and months in prison. The monks say the whole peninsula is dedicated to one woman alone, the Virgin Mary, whom they call the Panagia. In their tradition, this is her garden, and no other woman may share it. The rule once went further than people. For centuries, even most female animals were kept off the mountain. Few places on Earth have drawn a line so absolute and held it so long. So how does anyone get in? If you are a man, it is possible, but deliberately difficult. You cannot just show up. You apply in advance for a special permit called a diamanitarian, and only a limited number are issued each day. Around 100 Orthodox visitors, and just 10 who are not Orthodox. There is no airport and no road from the outside. You travel to a small town called Uranoupoli, board a ferry, and sail in along the coast. Once you land, you move on foot, by the monastery's own vehicles, or by boat between them. Visitors are guests of the monks, given a bed and simple meals, and expected to live by the rhythm of the monastery. It is not a holiday. It is a pilgrimage into another age, by invitation only. Step ashore, and you step out of the modern world in more ways than one. Mount Athos keeps its own time. The monasteries still follow the old Julian calendar, which now runs 13 days behind the one most of the world uses. Many of them also keep Byzantine time, where the new day begins not at midnight but at sunset, so the clocks themselves disagree with the world outside. Life moves to the bell and the prayer, not the phone. Days are shaped by long services in candlelit churches, hours of work, simple meals, and silence. Some of the most devoted monks live almost entirely cut off, in remote cells and caves down the cliffs. Here the centuries seem to fold together, and the 21st century is the one thing that never quite arrives. The monasteries themselves are extraordinary. Many look less like churches than fortresses, with high stone walls, towers, and wooden balconies that hang impossibly over sheer drops to the sea. They were built to last and in dangerous centuries to defend against the pirates and raiders who once prowled these coasts. Some sit right on the shore. Others cling halfway up the cliffs, reached only by long stone paths and steep stairs. Above them all rises the bare peak of Athos itself, more than 2,000 meters high, often wrapped in cloud with a small chapel at the very summit. For the monks, the mountain is not just scenery. It is a ladder toward heaven, and the whole landscape, rock, sea and sky, is treated as part of the prayer. Behind those walls lies one of the greatest hidden treasuries on Earth. Over 1,000 years, Mount Athos gathered relics, icons and manuscripts that exist nowhere else. Its libraries hold tens of thousands of handwritten books and ancient documents, many of them priceless, some not seen by outsiders in generations. The monasteries guard gold and silver work, jeweled crosses and icons believed by the faithful to be miraculous. There are relics said to belong to saints and treasures the monks trace back to emperors, and even by tradition to the gifts of the Magi. Scholars consider Athos one of the richest surviving collections of Byzantine art and writing in the world. Most of it has never been on public display because the public, for the most part, can never come. So why do men come here to stay, to give up the world entirely? For the monks, the answer is simple, even if it is hard for outsiders to grasp. They believe this is the closest they can get to God, a life stripped of distraction, of money, of family, of everything but prayer. A new monk gives up his possessions, and often even his name, taking a new one as he begins again. The days are demanding. They rise in the dark for services that can last for hours. Then work in the gardens, kitchens, and workshops that keep the community fed and standing. The peninsula is largely self-sufficient, growing its own food and making its own wine. It is a hard, narrow, repetitive life, and to the men who choose it, that is exactly the point. Mount Athos has survived empires, invasions, and the slow tide of the modern world, and it has changed almost nothing. While the rest of Europe rebuilt itself again and again, this one peninsula simply kept praying, kept its calendar, and kept its gate shut. Critics call the ban on women a relic that cannot last forever, and the debate flares up from time to time. The monks answer that they are not running a country or a museum, but guarding a promise 1,000 years old. Whether you see it as sacred or as stubborn, Mount Athos remains what it has always been. A sealed world at the edge of Greece, where time runs backward, half of humanity may never enter, and a few thousand men keep watch over the holy mountain, exactly as they have since the age of emperors.